Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of
Kato!
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts
Once again.
for the 11th time in a row, right?
Hey, it's getting up there. I don't mind it at all.
And hopefully for many more, hey?
If we can double what we have now, I'll be happy.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Look, we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. We thoroughly enjoy doing this and we love hearing from all of you. We know, and for those of you who do reach out and talk to us on Twitter or DM, it's really awesome. We always appreciate it. And we like seeing where all of you listen from, which is always very, very, very cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So, Edward, how are you doing? How are you doing with the lockdown now that it's been extended? And, we'll talk more about this later, but just, a quick, how you doing?
I'm good. Can't complain.
You good?
Life's good. Yeah. How are you doing, Hans?
Yes, things are good on my side. It's actually my parents' 44th wedding anniversary today. So that's a nice milestone. We'll be obviously celebrating as best as we can given the lockdown scenario. But it's nice. It's nice to have something to celebrate during this time.
I'm glad for them. Send them my love.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's go straight into episode 11 of Gettle.
Well, you know who doesn't have parents? Batman.
Oh my gosh! If that was, oh my gosh!
Using your folks as a segue.
That was okay. That's brilliant. Okay, everyone who's listening, when we do these episodes of Get All, they're often completely unplanned. So I was not expecting Edwin to throw that out there. Okay, please go on.
Okay,
gosh.
so the reason I'm bringing Batman up is because we have a bunch more juicy Batman news.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay, carry on. I'm good now.
Okay, so as y'all know, we like to cover the RPats Batman on the show, mainly because we love RPats.
RPats is the boss, and I think it's going to be a fantastic Batman.
Yeah, it will be. But now, in a few episodes back, I think it was the second episode, we surmised what the different actors and their roles would be in the movie. Well, now it's been confirmed.
Yes.
Now multiple things have been confirmed. So Matt Reeves ended up coming out to Fandom Wire, and he spoke a little bit about the premise, the villain, and the main narrative of the Batman.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. So basically, he admitted that this Batman would be a super over-the-shoulder take. So we'll have a very intimate story when it comes to Batman.
So, yeah, what does that mean? When you say over the shoulder, you mean kind of like very close up?
I'm not sure what Matt Reeves means, but as far as I can take from that is, I think it'll be like a super, like we won't see scenes from other people. We will, the entire movie will revolve.
Oh, I see what you mean. So very much more, kind of like look, the way he describes it makes me think of somebody with a GoPro on their shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's like you would 100% basically see everything from just his point of view, right? And instead of like if we think of the Tim Burton films where, Michael Keaton was Batman and he was the primary focus, but there was also a lot of exposition in terms of whether it was the Penguin or Catwoman. Okay, so that's interesting. I'm for that. I'm happy to see a movie that focuses solely on Batman.
Exactly. Like, he also says it's going to be a very detective focus. This is going to be Batman in his most detective mode ever.
Well, it's about damn time.
Exactly.
I mean, this is what Batman was known for.
Exactly. And as we've all known for a while now, it will be a noir take on the Batman as well. I think the over-the-shoulder point of view will be a lot like Sin City in a way. Yeah,
from a visual perspective.
Not visually, but narratively.
Okay,
so
interesting.
I think we're gonna have a lot of RPats voiceover in this one.
Okay, now tell me, you mentioned something along the lines of a villain and some of the narrative. So now, look, before you continue, I am totally unawares from all of this. Now, I am interested to know. I suggest if you out there don't want to know more about the movie, I'd say skip ahead, about a minute or two?
Yeah, maybe. Just a tiny minute or two.
Hashtag spoiler alert.
Yeah, this is our spoiler bell going now. Okay, so basically the plot revolve, it's election year in Gotham, okay, which is when this happens. But someone is killing off all the mayoral candidates and leaving riddles in their wake.
Okay, so we know who that is then, obviously.
Yes, we obviously know who that is. The actor's name is Paul Dano.
Yes. I remember you spoke about him the last time.
Yes.
Yes.
And last time we also spoke about the Penguin being cast.
Yes.
I forgot the...
yes,
Colin
everyone.
Farrell.
Speaking of actors, we did make a bit of a boo-boo in episode 10.
Yes, sorry
just
about
to bring that up quickly. Zendaya is not Catwoman, okay?
Nah.
It is actually Lenny Kravitz's daughter.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, we do often know what we speak about, but we are human and mistakes sometimes do crop up.
It happens.
All right, cool. So Colin Farrell is Penguin, all right?
Yes. He plays a character named Oz, which we all assume is
of
Oswald
course.
Cobblepot.
Yes.
But apparently he's going to be a good guy in this one, for now.
You know what? Just like what we spoke about last week, how fascinating it is to see evil people, but from a good perspective.
Yes.
If any of you missed last week's episode, we actually spoke about a Russian Lord of the Rings, which actually looks at stuff from Sauron's perspective. It's absolutely fascinating. So definitely go and listen to that if you have a chance.
Yeah.
And I think personally, it would be fascinating to watch Cobblepot's transformation from a good to an evil character and what drives him. That's fantastic.
Like, I thought that's what we would get in Gotham, the TV series.
Yes.
But he was just evil from the start anyway, and it didn't really show us a transformation.
Oh, you see, that's so disappointing,
Yeah, exactly. Harvey Dent would have been in the movie, supposedly, but apparently that got cut.
Well, I mean, given that they're killing mayoral candidates...
Yeah, maybe he got the slice,
Yeah, he got axed, early on.
And yeah, we got a bunch of just decent information that we all kind of knew already, but it's nice to have a confirmation of it.
Look, even though I know, right? Like, I know that research has been done into spoilers, and they say that even if you know a spoiler, it doesn't take away from the enjoyment of getting to that point, right? But of course, everybody's different. Now, personally, I'm even more excited to watch the film, having heard what you've just spoken about. So, it's weird. In this respect, I'm kind of glad to now know, because it doesn't really give away anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's actually making me more intrigued to find out what's going to happen.
We're probably going to find all of this out in the first trailer anyway.
Oh my gosh, trailers. Don't even get me started. Look, as much as I enjoy Netflix, right?
Uh-huh.
Their trailers are the worst, because often you'll look at something and within that 3 minutes you've watched the entire film that you're meant to be watching in the trailer. like seriously, have you not seen that? They'll even throw in like the villain, and you're like, why have you ruined this for me? I mean, I know we just spoke about how spoilers shouldn't take away from it, but it's a bit different. It's different because they give away the narrative plot. So it's not the same as somebody giving you a tidbit like what we've done now for the Batman. They literally spell out the narrative for their films.
Oh gosh.
Well, look, one positive, I guess, that Netflix does have running for them at the moment is they've just signed an exclusive agreement with the Pokemon company to air brand new episodes of Pokemon Journeys, which I think is really great. Yeah, it's a brand new anime based on the Pokemon universe, and Netflix has exclusive rights for global distribution.
Wow, okay. That's actually super cool.
For those who don't know, you can actually already watch a lot of the Pokemon anime on Netflix, and that includes, the original Johto League and Indigo League and, so on and so forth. I mean, look, I'm a massive fan. Years ago, before the age of broadband internet, I mean, probably like 15, 20 years ago, I used to order Pokemon DVDs off of Amazon. And that's actually how I used to watch the anime.
Jeez.
So the fact that this is available on tap now is really, really awesome. And my understanding is that for Pokemon Journeys, it will apparently span multiple regions and multiple generations of Pokemon. So it's a bit of a different take versus previous seasons of the anime, whereby, you know, every season would sort of relate to a video game.
Okay.
So I'm quite keen. I mean, look, this just adds on to what's already available on Netflix. Like, I have it on my watch list, and it's really bad that I haven't seen it yet, but I need to watch the new Pokemon remake on Netflix because it looks amazing. It's just that my family doesn't want to watch it, and normally when we watch TV, especially now during lockdown, it's a family affair.
Yeah, that's the thing with lockdowns. It's all about family now.
Exactly. Of course, you know, there's lots of stuff to see on Netflix. You know, anime aside, you know, you could watch some pretty good like action adventure films. You know, maybe things like Terminator, Aliens, or Predator.
Oh, yes. I see what you did there. Okay, so you actually can watch, I think, Terminator and Aliens.
I think you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, depending on your region, of course.
Yeah, naturally. So I found something out recently on Reddit.
Yeah.
And obviously we put it in the show notes so you know about this as well. Bill Paxton is the only character to have been killed by the golden trifecta of 80s and 90s science fiction icons, which are the Predator, the Alien, and the Terminator.
That is freaking cool.
Yeah, it's actually super cool. So, as a huge fan of Aliens myself,
myself as well, Edward. Don't you just take that credit yourself?
Well, I'm sorry.
The Xenomorph is one of my all-time favorite. Well, it's not even a villain because I believe that they're misunderstood.
Yeah,
what you mean?
It's an alien. It's an extraterrestrial entity.
They are beautiful, and I've always been a fan of Geiger's work because that's what it was based on. And I just love, not necessarily the phallic nature of his work, but I just really enjoy the shapes and the designs of the Xenomorph characters. You know, the shape, it's just, there's something about them. I find them beautiful. I know most people don't, but I do.
Yeah.
Well, look, this is absolutely fascinating. And, you know, it's a little bit sad. I mean, Paxton passed away in 2017.
Yes.
So he's not around anymore to be, I guess, massacred by future aliens or, you know, other pop culture monsters.
Science fiction icons, yeah.
But with that said, I mean, how cool is that though? You know, he will forever go down in history as the only person ever thus far to have been killed by a Predator, a Xenomorph, and a Terminator. I mean, these are all truly, truly iconic characters from the Geekoverse.
Exactly. It's amazing, and I did love his acting. He was always a great guy.
What? He should get a posthumous award for this. You know?
Yeah, maybe like some achievement unlocked kind of thing. It's amazing.
Well, I'm loving this menage a trois of iconic characters, but I'm just curious. Like, I wonder if he was ever going to be in Star Wars, because could you imagine if he had also been shot by like Han Solo or Chewbacca or something?
I could just imagine like a stormtrooper taking off his helmet, and it's Bill Paxton, and then the Millennium Falcon comes and blows everything up. Like, just a random cameo. Well, speaking of Star Wars, we have more Disney Plus news, and that comes by way of a new Star Wars series, which is in the works.
Another one? Look, I'll be honest with you. I've seen The Mandalorian, and it is phenomenal. I mean, I enjoy the Star Wars films, right? And I personally don't think the new trilogy deserves the hate that it's currently receiving. With that said, The Mandalorian is probably one of the most fun shows on TV at the moment. And the way that they've constructed it and the way that they've actually built onto the Star Wars universe is truly wonderful. And the show is made for fans and for people who aren't aware of Star Wars. And it's thoroughly enjoyable, more than anything else. You know, it's like snippets into the world of Star Wars. And the reason why I'm rambling like this is because if this new show that you're talking about is half as good as The Mandalorian, sign me up.
Oh, for sure. What we don't know much about it though. Unlike the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which will probably be about his life on Tatooine.
Can't wait.
The
Can't
only
wait.
thing, neither can I. The only thing we do know about the series is that it will be a female-centric series.
I'm good with that. I love that. I mean, some of my favorite all-time series had female leads. I mean, Alias, for example, with Jennifer Garner. Honestly, I will never ever forget that show. It's just incredible, and I actually really wish they'd reboot it. Preferably with Jennifer Garner, to be absolutely honest with you.
Yeah,
but if not, another female lead, I really don't mind.
Yeah.
So this is great. Do you have more details about it?
Yeah, it's also being produced by Lesley Headland, who worked on adult-oriented shows with Fox and HBO, such as Smurf, Black Monday, and she even worked on Russian Doll.
Okay, so I'm really glad you specified what you meant by adult shows.
Yeah, no, I mean like... yeah, no, I mean like more adult-oriented
more adult
stuff.
Content.
Whereas Star Wars is for
adult
families.
viewership. That's what you mean, right?
Yes, whereas Star Wars is all family.
Well, now look, the thing about this is that Disney Plus, as far as I understand, is going to stick to a PG rating. Like, I'm not sure if you heard of what Disney Plus did to Splash, the iconic mermaid film. Did you see that? I saw
the scene on YouTube. It's so bad.
No, it's ridiculous. So for those of you who might not know, essentially what the Disney Plus version of Splash does is it digitally edits out Daryl Hannah's beautiful bottom with extra hair.
I mean, what?
So if you haven't seen the film, it's excellent. It's iconic. It's about a mermaid. It's from the 80s. It's a great film, and in it, it's very innocent. There's nothing overly erotic or anything like that, and you just see her bum. She's running on the beach. She's naked. Her hair is long. It's basically waist height. And what Disney have done is they've digitally created more hair on her bum to cover her bum.
It's so bad.
And it just looks horrendous. We'll include a link so that you can actually see what it looks like. And I know this is becoming a long-winded conversation, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Lesley Headland, as you've mentioned, is more adult-oriented in the content that she produces. Now, as much as I think we'd love to see a more adult-focused Star Wars story, I don't think we will. Because not only is Disney Plus sort of PG rated for everything, but Star Wars is also a very accessible franchise, and I don't think they want to take that away. So as much as we would love to see more adult-focused Star Wars content, and I don't mean from a porn perspective, okay, I don't think we're going to get it with this, as cool as it would be.
Like Mandalorian also kind of beat it on the edge a little bit there.
Yes, it skirts on the tip of what's allowed for PG content and what isn't.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll allow it to be a little bit darker, and I'm fine with content not having nudity. That's not an issue. But at the same time, I'd like adult-oriented content. Kind of in much the same way as, the way that Game of Thrones was, despite the dismal final season, or shows like The Last Kingdom, stuff like that.
Yeah, just make it a little bit more gruesome.
Well, look, it doesn't have to be gruesome, but, just more adult-oriented. Okay, well, Edward, since you're bringing that up, I know there's something else you want to speak about.
Yeah, so I really want to speak about this. So, as we all know, PornHub, annually they bring out their stats. They call it the PornHub Insights. Now, it's become so popular that it's become its own website called PornHubInsights.com.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and now instead of, in addition of doing the main stats annually, they also release features every now and then whenever something big happens. So what big happened in the geekosphere recently? Well, Final Fantasy VII Remake released.
Ooh, can you say Tifa and Ares?
Well, so it turns out that the moment the game released, Final Fantasy porn has skyrocketed into oblivion. Like,
I think it was almost 4,000% or something, right?
Yeah, it's like a mega crazy percentage, and obviously the top most searched for individual character remains Tifa Lockhart.
But wasn't she an
reasons.
icon originally way back in the 90s?
Yes. So I think it was 98. The New York Times released an article calling her the cyber girl of the future or something like that. The cyber
How fascinating
sex
is that?
icon of the future. Yeah.
In many ways, that is very ahead of the time, ahead of the curve. To have, mention something like that at a time when the internet wasn't even a thing.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that basically solidified Tifa as a sex symbol for forevermore.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Now, I would personally love to see Quista Streep from Final Fantasy getting a little bit more love, but that's just me.
And look, speaking of Final Fantasy VII, you're currently reviewing it at the moment, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm loving it so far. I'm taking my time with this one because I think
but of course, it deserves it.
Needs it, yeah. So, but I am loving every aspect of it. It's completely rewritten. It's just an amazing game so far.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking forward to reading your review. I mean, I do know that it's received a lot of positive reception, but Final Fantasy VII is the only game that I've really finished to completion. And of course, when I say that I finished, I didn't even play it. It was my cousin Hannah who actually played through the game, and I just watched the story segments. And what she would often do is she would grind. She would do all the grinding, and then while I was asleep, and every time I'd get up, she would then play the story segments with me. And it's the only Final Fantasy that that I've got a really big soft spot for. And how I keep calling Aerith, meanwhile she's Aerith. Because I had the
translation.
Yes, exactly. I had the copy that had the wrong translation in it. But yeah, look, this is fascinating. I mean, the fact that people are even searching this to get off on is a little bit.
It's strange, but it's great.
Well, can I tell you what I get off on?
What?
Selling my turnips in Animal Crossing.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So about that, I've seen you tweet a bunch about it. What's that all about?
Okay, listen. Animal Crossing is a brilliant game. I've always enjoyed it. I remember playing it way back when on the Nintendo DS and the 3DS and so on and so forth. And Animal Crossing New Horizons is now the latest release of the title on Nintendo Switch. And I've already clocked, I think it's like 80 hours in the game. Almost 100 hours. I know.
Okay.
It's just so addictive.
That's rare for you.
For me, yes. I often lose interest in titles and things like that. And okay, let me just talk about what Animal Crossing is for those who might not know. So essentially the aim of the game is where you're given this island to populate and breathe life into. And there's this character called Tom Nook, who you take various loans from to build a home, to build campsites, to build other homes for other residents, and so on and so forth. No, seriously, there's actually a proper economy in the game. And it's your job to spur this economy, to bring life to this island, and have as many residents as possible so that you can reach the current end game of the famous star KK coming to your island to perform. So that's the current goal from the beginning. Now, this might sound a little, I guess for some people, boring, whatever the case is. But what's fascinating about the title is how it's all about delayed gratification. In the sense of Animal Crossing works in real time. Unlike a lot of video games that we normally play, where there'll be a day-night cycle that is maybe like 10 minutes long, 15 minutes long, whatever the case is. In Animal Crossing, it's literally the same time. So if it's 4 o'clock, in the game right now, 4 p.m., it will be 4 p.m. in the real world.
Wait, so if you plant a potato or turnips, as you call them,
yes,
and they say it'll take 4 days for the turnips to grow, they really will take 4 real life days.
So technically yes, but the game obviously isn't that cruel, okay?
Okay.
It's more along the lines of every single time you do one thing, it will normally take you a real world day for it to complete. So for example, as you play, you unlock new aspects of furnishing your island. So like, for example, you can build bridges to go over streams, and when you do, it takes a full real world 24 hours for that bridge to be built once you've reached the donation goal. So it's a very interesting scenario, and this is very much how everything in Animal Crossing operates. So for example, I planted an apple tree, a couple of weeks ago. It takes about, I think, 3 full real world days for a tree to grow and blossom fruit.
Now that's fascinating to me because, as you know, Hans, I like to play Guild Wars 2.
Yes.
And it's an MMO. And usually in games like those, people want instant gratification, obviously.
Of course.
And when the developers bring new stuff into the game, which we call it time gating. So let's say I want to build this new legendary bow. Some of the materials I can only create 1 a day. And I will need maybe 4 or 5 of those just to build my bowstring instead of the entire thing or whatever.
Yes.
People hate that. They usually cancel developers for that. Animal Crossing sounds like time gating embodied.
To the extreme. Look, I was actually giving it a lot of thought the other day, and I realized the reason why Animal Crossing is so addictive is because of the delayed gratification. So in today's day and age, we're so used to getting everything on tap. You want to watch a movie, you click a button, there it is. You want to find out something, you Google it, you've got it within seconds.
Yeah.
Now with Animal Crossing, it's more along the lines of, oh, you want this house upgrade? Okay, that's nice. It's going to take a full day, first of all, for you to get it. And secondly, there's going to be a loan of 500 or 1 million bells.
What is this? The mafia?
So now look, in terms of Animal Crossing, bells are quite challenging to come across. You can sell a fruit on your island for 250 bells, or a fruit that is not native to your island for, I think, 400 bells per fruit. Now, that sounds like a lot at the start, but when you have a 2 million bell debt to Mr. Tom Nook, okay, that 500 bells is nothing. So this leads me to what you originally mentioned before, which is the turnips. So another interesting element of Animal Crossing, and I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot about this, but I really love the game and there's so many good elements to it.
It's fascinating. Carry on.
Is that they have a turnip stalk market. Now, what this means is that there's a little lady who only comes on Sundays and she sells turnips. And if you're lucky, you can get them for cheap. If you're not so lucky, they'll be expensive. And expensive is over 100 bells. Anyway, the whole point is that you can buy turnips from her as much as you have money. And then in the week following that Sunday, you can sell your turnips to Timmy and Tommy at Nook's Cranny, which is a little shop on the island that you help restore to its glory. And every day, the price of turnips will vary twice per day, once in the morning and again in the PM. And it's never a set pattern. So you could have an island, for example, and unfortunately my island is like this, where I have a declining stalk market in the 1 week, and in the second week I have a high rise.
Okay.
So I know if I only sell turnips on my island, I can only buy once every 2 weeks, because otherwise I'll work at a loss.
Yeah.
Now, the reason again why you mentioned why this whole like mafia element to it is because there's actually this massive online community that is revolving around not just Animal Crossing, but the actual stalk market. And it's called Turnips Exchange. And it's a place where you can go and let's say your island now has turnips for 600 bells, which is an incredible amount of money.
Yeah, it sounds
okay. You can go onto Turnips Exchange, list your island, and then you or me, somebody who has like 4,000 turnips that wants to sell, right, to make a massive profit, I can go into a queue and then visit this person's island and sell them to their Timmy and Tommy. Okay, it's a fascinating game. Oh, look, anyway, I could go on and on and on about this, but just while we're on the topic of Animal Crossing, I just want to quickly mention how there's some really incredible updates that have just come out. specifically for Earth Day, where there's a little character called Leaf who comes around and you can buy like shrubs and extra foliage and stuff from him. And then again, to go along with your whole mafia element, there's this character called Red. And what he does is he sells you, if you're lucky, original artwork, but it could also be fake. And the way he speaks, he speaks just like a mafia character, and he calls you family, and he offers you a family discount. So, like for example,
welcome to the family.
Yeah, exactly like that. So this morning when I logged in, Red was there, and I thought it was quite a surprise. And I spoke to him, and he wanted to sell me this artwork for 500,000 bells, and I was like, hell no. Because that is just too much money.
No, that's fake. That's definitely fake.
So when I said no, then he came back and he was like, oh, well, since you're family, like real family, I'll sell it to you for 4,000 bells.
That's how you know.
I was like, what?
That's amazing.
Anyway, I purchased the artwork and then I took it to Blathers at the museum.
Yeah.
And he authenticated it as original. And he's now going to open a brand new museum wing. And this is how the game works, you know? So there's all these little cutesy things that happen in the game. Now, at least, it's Earth Day. And it's now all about, you know, the more trees and flowers you plant, the more Nook Miles you get, because Nook Miles is the bonus currency on the island. So the more things you do, the more Nook Miles you get, because it's a rewards program.
It's all about the resource, the economy. The economy.
Anyway, it's honestly, it's fascinating. I thoroughly enjoy the game. And I implore anyone out there who enjoys a game that feels genuinely rewarding versus instantly gratifying to give it a shot. Because I think you'd come away rather impressed.
It definitely looks amazing. Well, you make it sound amazing.
Sorry, I mean, there's one more thing, because we're talking about Animal Crossing and turnips and everything. So selling turnips is a big thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, if your island like mine has a awful stock market where you're probably going to stand up losing money versus actually gaining money, you'll be happy to know that not only is there a brilliant community online, but it's also one where celebrities get involved. Did you see the news?
I saw the tweet, and it was actually like I wouldn't know the breadth of this tweet, but obviously I thought you'd be mega interested.
Now that I've explained it.
And yeah, so basically, Animal Crossing brings people together. We already know that.
Yes.
But it also brings celebrities to your island. And actual celebrities. So basically, this person on Twitter, they tweeted their turnip prices, and Elijah Wood, of all people, came to his island to hang out. Which
I love it.
Like, what's up? I want to sell my turnips. The Frodo here. It's wow. Yeah.
Listen, Edward, as I've mentioned before, getting bells in Animal Crossing is really difficult. So you do whatever you need to do to get good money for your turnips, okay? Even if that means you as a celebrity need to come down to the common folk and visit their island, you do what you gotta do.
If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that Animal Crossing, they don't treat different kinds of people differently. No. Everyone has to go through the mafia.
Everybody's on the same level. Everybody...
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I do know that there's some God of News War. I mean,
God of News War. Yes, there is some God of News War.
God of War. Yeah.
So okay. Just as challenging as it is to rise up high in the stonk market on Animal Exchange, Animal
Crossing.
What happened to our vocabs? On Animal
Listen,
Crossing.
This isn't some Tiger King thing, okay? Please.
So turns out that, as we all know, God of War, the newest installment, is a brand new take on the franchise. It's a sequel, but also not. And it introduces a bunch of challenges, almost Dark Souls-like challenges to the game. And one of those is the corrupted Valkyrie Queen.
Oh, she is so difficult.
Yes. So in order to get to her in the first place, you need to defeat every other Valkyrie in the game, which is also a challenge in itself. But that's beside the point.
Exactly.
This YouTuber, his name is GBG, at least his channel name. He managed to fight and defeat Sigrun without any upgrades at all.
What?
Yeah, so his Kratos was level 1, his Atreus was level 1. He didn't have any axe upgrades or any added abilities. And he live streamed it for 4 hours. He struggled and he failed, and a bunch of. I even tuned in like once or twice, but I only tuned in during his fails. And then it ended up happening. He defeated Sigrun after 20 minutes of battling. And
jeez,
yeah, like that's crazy.
Awesome.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I definitely won't.
Yeah,
I can tell you that now already.
But it's amazing to see. I as I said, I tuned in during his fails, but his video on demand is available on YouTube, and the last 20 minutes of the video, we'll have it linked in the show notes later. The last 20 minutes of the video is pure just dodging and attacking bliss. It's beautiful.
Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna check that out because I think that is incredible.
It's
I mean, she is tough. I know. I've tried going up against her, and I still, after all of this time, haven't been able to beat her. Look, speaking of God of War, and I just want to just throw this in there quickly.
Yeah.
You actually wrote an article for the site about God of War lore and legends.
Yeah.
Which is actually a real world book collectible for Atreus' journal.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
Fascinating. Yeah.
I think if there's ever a collectible to have, this is it. Like,
well, I agree with you. I mean, I love books and things. Now, I haven't purchased any in a very long time, but this one is fascinating and it's right up my alley because it's about God of War, first of all, and it just includes all of his doodles, right? Including extra information about the game.
Exactly. So as you go through the game, Atreus will create bestiary entries about the enemies you come across and the beasts you defeat, and he doodles them in, he sketches them in, and he also writes bits and bobs about everything, and he also records the entire journey in paper form. Now, with this book, Lore and Legends, you'll actually see that in paper form. And
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. And you know, it's interesting that they've decided to release this both physically and digitally.
Yeah.
And the reason why I mention this is because I know that, you know, with the whole COVID-19 thing, it's difficult to go out. So a lot of artists and people and companies have all sort of geared everything towards working from home and working online. And the reason why I mention that is because as cool as it would be to get a physical copy of the book, you can get a digital one on Kindle.
Yes.
But more importantly, other artists like this person called Travis Scott, who I won't lie, I knew nothing about until just before the podcast.
Yeah.
Is apparently releasing an album or something in Fortnite.
Yeah. So what's happening there is that Travis Scott, he's a rapper, hip-hop artist that basically rose to fame when he married Khloe Kardashian, I believe. He debuted his brand new album in Fortnite.
So it's already happened? I thought it was still happening.
It's currently happening, rather. Let me say that much. So for South African players, around 4:00, we'll all be able to go into Fortnite, and
that's what I was going to say. Yeah. If anybody's interested and wants to listen to what I guess Travis Scott's new album. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of rap, so I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are like Edward, who enjoy this kind of music, you can actually tune in today, the 24th at 4:00 South African time, or the 25th of April at 6 a.m. and again that day at 5 p.m. or Sunday at, well, I guess 5:12 in the morning, which I guess nobody's going to tune into that one.
Yeah, not us anyway.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's been happening. The videos are already live. If you don't play Fortnite, just go check it out. It's a visual spectacle. I will say that much. It looks amazing.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I imagine being actually in the game where it happens is even more.
It's going to be something special.
Yes.
Well, look, I mean, speaking of artists and doing stuff, digitally and that kind of thing, did you tune into the World Health Organization concert with Lady Gaga and Global Citizen?
I actually missed it. I put up a reminder and everything because I was keen to listen to Idris Elba. And yeah.
Oh yes, of course, because he sings.
Yeah, he raps and sings. Yeah. He's a DJ. But yeah, so on that topic, you just mentioned that Lady Gaga had a WHO virtual concert. It happened this Saturday, for those who don't know, and it raised a heck ton of money. Like, according to Wired, they raised a total of $127.9 million which is going towards the coronavirus relief efforts for the WHO. And it's...
Look, I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And I take my hat off to Lady Gaga for actually pulling this together.
Yes.
Because this One World Together at Home concert is a first of its kind, number one. But number two, instead of all of these other companies trying to, gain funds from other people and other companies, what she did is she didn't make it about herself.
Yeah.
She actually approached major organizations and was like, look, this is what we want to do. This is what I want to, how we're going to raise funds for people. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so she did. And it was a massive success. And I take my hat off to her for actually doing something proactive and positive with her star power, which is so rare today.
Yeah, it's and a lot of stars also came forward and contributed, like by Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, the Rolling Stones. They were there, and
wow, that's
all
awesome.
of these artists came together and created one of the biggest virtual concerts this world has ever seen.
Well, look, I mean, this is the future we now live in. I mean, I can imagine this happening more frequently, and I'd be happy to tune in again.
Of course.
I mean, I know I did, but just for a short period of time. I was actually too busy watching Uhtred, son of Bebenbear on Netflix. Because, we have been binging The Last Kingdom for the last 2 weeks, and it's been phenomenal.
I haven't seen it yet, so...
Well, you should, okay?
It's on my watch list.
Well, look, now that we're on the topic of TV, I want to talk about one of my favorite all-time sitcoms or comedies, and it's Parks and Recreation.
Oh, of course.
Honestly, it's one of the few absolutely laugh-out-loud shows that I have thoroughly enjoyed in the last decade, and I wish it was still continuing today. Unfortunately, it's not. It was, put to pasture a few years back. However, there is some wonderful news for fans like myself and anybody else out there.
Yeah.
And that is that our friends from PornHub are reuniting for a Parks and Rec special, which is apparently airing next week Thursday on NBC.
Okay.
And essentially, what it does is it brings back all of our favorite characters that we know and love, like Amy Poehler, Rashida Jones, Aziz Ansari, Nick Offerman, Aubrey Plaza, Chris Pratt even, and there's so many more. And they're all going to be coming together and basically filming a COVID-19 episode.
Naturally, they were.
Essentially how they're all stuck at home.
Yeah.
And this is how they communicate. And I can honestly tell you, I am so, so excited to see this because I think it's going to be brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of Parks and Rec, as you know, but this should be brilliant. They've never been bad. And I'm quite keen to see what actors can come up with. And producers come up with in the wake of this lockdown.
Given the current situation?
Yes.
Well, the interesting thing about Parks and Rec is that, it's all about a government organization, right? It's about the Parks and Recreation portion of the PornHub government.
Yes.
And so I think it'll be quite socially and culturally relevant, to speak about this COVID-19 situation at the moment. Of course, it'll be humorous because we need a little bit of humor in our lives right now. Almost as humorous as people of a foreign country trying to speak the English language.
Speaking about that, by the way.
Just a quick side note. If you are multilingual,
yes,
good on you,
yeah.
Honestly. And please note that what I said before is by no means a criticism of somebody who speaks broken English. I just want to get that out there because I think if you can speak more than one language and you try to speak the English language, honestly, good for you.
Yeah.
Because English is by no means an easy language to learn or to speak. And I would rather have somebody speak broken English to me than not speak to me at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that because I know there are a lot of people out there, who are like, speak my language, you don't speak to me at all. I'm like, listen,
I
bitch,
know those kinds
why
of
don't
people.
you try and learn a second language and then try and speak it? Because it is challenging.
Exactly.
Anyway, back to this.
Yeah. So while because I've been looking at Travis Scott videos and Lady Gaga videos recently, I had a weird little Japanese video recommended to me.
Listen, you're always getting weird stuff.
It's because I Google weird shit. Okay, I just can't get around that. And I'm not afraid to like clear my history
to
or
admit
whatever.
it, yeah.
So, this video is titled "I Have a Bad Case of Diarrhea." - Japanese learning English.
What?
So naturally, I had to take a look.
Call an ambulance, please.
Okay, hold on. Where does it hurt?
My stomach. ちゃんと痛いけど痛い。
It's literally an exercise music video
What?
of Japanese like fitness instructors reciting the words "I have a bad case of diarrhea" over and over again as the words are translated on the screen. So it's essentially teaching Japanese speakers to speak English, but in the weirdest way.
By telling them that they can't contain their bowels?
Yeah, it's weird. So I don't know. It's worth a look. It's like 3 minutes, I believe, or something. But
I'm honestly not surprised. Okay, I absolutely adore Japan. It's one of my favorite countries in the world to visit. I was lucky enough to go again last year, and yes, it is true. It is batshit crazy, but man, is it an awesome, awesome, awesome place. And, you know, you will see people wearing shirts that like F your mother, you know, because they don't know it any better. That's a terrible thing to say in English.
Obviously, I can't speak as someone that knows the country or the culture, but I have noticed that at least among my Japanese friends, which I have a fair few because I play a lot of online.
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of MMOs. They love reciting English words regardless of the context.
Well, this is why rap is so big there.
I think so as well.
So, you know, no, you do. You get these people that are just like, nah, F your mother. No. You know, you're just like, oh, okay, like, then.
We went there.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, it's
sorry.
Weird, but it's also super intriguing to see.
Well, look, you know that I can speak a bit of French, and I know that you're speaking some Russian at the moment. And I thought that being in lockdown because of COVID-19 would help me freshen up on my skills. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I feel that I'm so busy with housework, especially like when it comes to like cooking and stuff, that I feel that there's so much time dedicated to doing other things that as much as I wish I could do, like, you know, that includes working or, you know, like on the podcast or on YouTube or on Vamers and so on and so forth, that, you know, I would kill for some takeout where I don't have to cook the food.
That might soon be possible.
No, don't lie. Don't get my hopes up here.
I'm serious. So, as we mentioned at the start of the podcast, we're still in lockdown, and luckily last night,
and it's not all bad. It's not all bad.
It's getting there. So President Ramaphosa last night announced a phased approach.
Yes. Last night he couldn't put on his mask.
Yeah. Let's not go there. Shame.
No, look, okay. No, shame. Look. No. I have to mention it because it is so relatable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that about the president and what happened. And I think he probably was rather upset that it even happened in the first place. But I love how human it portrays him. You know, it just showcases, you know what? I'm normal. I'm just like everybody else. I'm also in the situation with you. You know, let's see what we can do to get through it.
I will say, I really appreciated every single time he demoed something. Like when he spoke about the tissues, he pulled one from his pocket. When he spoke about greeting people, he actually demonstrated how to greet people. And I really appreciated that. It's so tiny, like simple touch.
This is what I'm saying. It's so rare for, you know, these politicians and people in power to showcase that they're human. Yes. You know, and more often than not, many of them are arrogant and horrible. Looking at you, Donald Trump. Okay, So, to have a president like ours, look, I mean, I'm not saying he's perfect, okay? And I'm not saying, I mean, we have terrible people in our parliament and our government as well.
For sure.
But, with that said, Ramaphosa himself, it's nice to see that he's trying to relate to all of us.
Exactly.
And that makes him personable. And a personable president is somebody you feel you can like and you can trust. Of course, we're digressing now, but let's go back to what you were saying. So fast food is coming.
Yes. So basically, we're now getting a phased return to normalcy. So starting on 1 May, as we all thought the lockdown will be ending, but in a phased manner. So there are 5 different alert levels. We are currently at level 5. 1 May, we're moving to level 4, which
awesome.
which basically means here and there industries will open up, such as stores will be able to sell a little bit more things. The non-essentials.
Look, that's good news to me because I'm hoping that I can at least get some dishwashing liquid.
Yeah.
I know that's a random thing to say.
It's so true.
But
though. So
it's one of the few things.
Like you recently reviewed Philips One Blade, and you
Correct,
can't buy the replacement cartridges at stores. You can only buy blades.
Look, this is one of the few things that myself and my family, and even some of my other friends have spoken about, is how we're kind of running out of... Look, I know this is a very superficial thing to be worried about. I mean, for the most part, a majority of us are very lucky. We have homes, we have food, we have power. Yes. So the things that we're talking about now are superfluous at best. But there's still things that, if you are fortunate and you are lucky, that would be a concern.
Exactly.
And one of them was, getting facial products. You're running out of stuff. Like, if I run out of blades, how am I going to shave? They're not exactly dire things, but it's nice to know that what you're saying is that at level 4, those kinds of things are going to open up, right?
So we don't know how long level 4 will last. I think it'll be like 2 weeks, but we'll see. After that is what you and I are looking forward to, Hans, especially because that's when fast food stores can open their driveways and delivery takeouts.
Okay, but also restaurants, right?
Only for takeouts.
That's fine, because I could really do with some Cliff.
Yeah, I would kill for a McNugget. Like, I need a Big Mac in my life.
Listen, if I still ate like fast foods like KFC, I think that would be one of the few places I'd go to. Okay, my mouth is watering. I do know I'm going to probably order Indisio pizza when that happens.
I'm super hungry now as well.
I just don't want to cook for a change, okay?
Yeah, we just don't want to eat the same old,
And again, I know what we're saying is just, it's a little bit, speaking from a place of privilege, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
Having said that, these phases are also about stimulating the economy.
Yes.
Because despite the fact that we have a lot of people who don't have, and I really do feel for these people, okay? If we don't start jumpstarting the economy again, we're going to be in a far worse place than we can all imagine. And that is everybody, not just the privileged or the underprivileged. It's really going to affect the entire country. So sure, we're making light of the situation and talking about how we're happy that we can get, blades and fast food and things like that. But a majority of our populace actually thrives on fast food. So getting to alert level 3 will be not only a boon to the economy, but also to people in underprivileged areas who may not have access to fresh fruit and vegetables, but actually have access to fast food, which weirdly enough is the reality of the situation.
It's weird, but that's how it works. It also opens up a lot of jobs again. So
yes, absolutely. People can start getting paid, which is another very, very big deal at the moment. A lot of companies are not able to pay their employees, and if you can't get paid, you can't buy anything. So, when we speak in the podcast, we like to keep things light and airy, but we're also not vapid or unaware of what's actually going on, with a lot of people who may not have. So I'm just putting that out there because, it's best you all know the kind of people that we actually are.
Yeah.
We're not these kinds of people we're not Kardashians, okay?
We wish.
We're the Lady Gagas of the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or at least we'd like to think so, at any rate.
So at level 2, we'll be able to go out again and basically life would return to normal, for the exception that we should still practice social
so go to the gym again,
and bars and restaurants will open fully again, but only during restricted times.
Okay.
And then at level 1, it's basically the most normal it's been. It's basically the way it was 2 weeks before the lockdown. So it's 100% normal. People can go out, do what they want. All industries will be completely open, for the exception of certain like main events location.
Yes. So interestingly, you mentioned that you feel every 2 weeks we're probably going to go down a level. I think you might be onto something. Now, I personally imagine it would be more about a month. That's how I sort of look at it. Kind of looking at about every 4 weeks we're going to go down versus every 2 weeks. And to corroborate this, I saw an article about how the army has been dispatched until the end of June.
Okay.
So if you take that into consideration, that's only 5 weeks from now, which means that we could potentially go down an alert level every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Of course, this is pure conjecture. It could be for a lot longer. We'll just have to wait and see. The president and his advisors are literally taking this one day at a time, and they're doing as best as they can.
Yeah, it's a unique time in our lives, and I'm keen to see where this is going and how it's going to affect technology in the future as well.
I'm also quite fascinated about that. And companies are no longer going to be able to say, oh, well, you can't do that from home. Because if COVID-19 has done anything, it's prove how people can work remotely. So the future should be interesting.
I think it's going to be amazing. Like, as bad as the coronavirus has been for all of us, I think this helped push forward a bunch of technologies we wouldn't otherwise have. And that's a good light to end on, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's not as fun and lighthearted as normal.
but it's a glimmer in the darkness.
But it's a glimmer of hope that fast food is coming to South Africa
can't wait.
soon.
I really can't wait.
Sooner rather than later.
I'm living for that day. Gosh.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to episode 11 and listening to myself and Edward speak.
Yeah.
We always appreciate the support. We hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, just like every other YouTuber out there, even though this is a podcast, please like and subscribe.
Please follow us. Pop us that star rating on podcast or whatever.
Yes, DM us. Actually, I did receive a DM this week from someone, but I'm going to speak about it next week. So definitely tune in for that.
No, not even I know.
Yeah, because you don't know. All right, everybody. Thank you so much once again. And we hope that you have a wonderful and blessed week ahead. Please stay home and stay safe.
Bye-bye, guys.